We're not gonna make it. 3, 2. Oh, I am in the midst of a battery test with this Lectric XP4. I've basically just been running it on full throttle up a 200-foot incline. Yeah, I know. It's like a 220 something elevation gain incline. And I'm just trying to figure out how long does it take to drain the battery under this circumstance. Now, I did bike up pedal power in turbo mode the first time, but I've already gone back up one time with just the throttle, and we've only done 7 miles. We're at 90%. So, hey, we're just gonna see how long it takes to drain this bike to, like, well, maybe 0. It depends on how fast it goes. Like right now, oh man, sitting at 20 miles an hour though is so slow. Ah, man, and my thumb is getting tired of holding down. This thumb throttle is actually fatiguing. Maybe my thumb will get stronger, but it's just not a fun position to get stuck in. I definitely prefer the twist throttle. I don't know who out there is like, but the thumb throttle's nice. Maybe, I guess, if you're pedaling and the thumb throttle is just something you use a little bit, then fine. But like right now, after just not even 7 miles of just using throttle, I'm over it. I'm over it. I do love having the mirror on the side of my bike. That's nice. I just did another 5 miles. I have done 10 miles total. I've done 826 feet in elevation gain. I'm using only the throttle on the Lectric, and I'm averaging around 20 miles an hour. And the battery just dropped to 80%. So 10 miles, 30 minutes, 800 feet of elevation gain, full throttle, 80%. I'd say that's pretty dang good. I'm very curious to see what it takes to get this guy, to the 70, 60, 50. I don't think it's going to take another 5 miles, because when I did a test before with the throttle, on flat ground, once I crossed that 80 to 70 mark, it dropped a lot faster, but we'll see. And what I don't know is whether or not throttle is actually pulling less than turbo. If you're pedaling and it allows the bike to push it faster, then I assume it's going to use more power and you'll actually get less mileage than if you just did throttle. But we'll see. Maybe throttle is like that sweet spot for efficiency. I went from 90 to 80 and did basically 5 miles, and then I got 1 mile for the next one. So I am very curious to see what we really get out of this bike, because it was looking really good between 190 up and down this hill, but I've done 979 feet of elevation gain, and we just dropped to that 70% mark. So I'm not loving how misleading the percentages are, right? You think you get maybe 5 miles for every 10% sort of thing, but it's not ratioed like that. It's like I just went from 90 to 70 in less than a mile, right? Because I went from 90 to 80, and then a mile later I was at 70. So like 20% visually gone. And I don't have a problem with like the range, like whatever the range is what it's gonna be. I just want a more accurate representation of it, so that I know that when I'm at 90, I'm actually not close to 70, That's the part that's kind of crazy to me. So we will see. Based on that, I imagine we're gonna tank before we get to 20 miles. And we just dropped to 60% after doing 1,100 feet of climbing on basically full throttle and 14 miles in. So currently at 60%. I'd say that's pretty good. I did do one climb, which is about 2.5 miles. It took about 8 minutes with pedal power in turbo. And since then, I've just been doing the power or the throttle. So the majority of this bike ride has been throttle power up a pretty steep incline. And all we are trying to do is figure out how long the battery will last. So that's what we're at right now. I basically got 3 miles between 70 and 60%. So not great, but I only got 1 mile between 80 and 70. So that's, I guess it's better. So I have just finished biking for 58 minutes on the Lectric XP4. I have done 1,500 feet, 1,528 feet of elevation gain, and I just dropped to 50%. My total distance is 18.8 miles. So almost a mile of uphill elevation gain, like vertical elevation gain. Obviously, I'm not going up straight vertical, but I'm going up and down a pretty big hill right now. And I've done almost 20 miles and I've only at 50%. So we could hope, we could guess that we could get close to maybe 35, I feel like. I feel like 40 is going to be pushing it because as the battery drops, it tends to drop faster, especially under these circumstances. Right now I'm getting 45 volts out of the battery. I'm getting 509 watts, 11 amps are what's being drawn, 13 amps. So, I mean, I am very impressed that we've only hit 50% and we're at basically 20 miles with a mile of that being just vertical, all throttle almost. So pretty cool. We're going to keep running this test and just see how everything plays out, but I'm just sharing this information for anybody out there. 40%, 20 miles, not too bad. I've been going for a little over 60 minutes, a little over an hour. I am at 30% battery. So I have about 22 miles on the bike for this trip because I did the first 8 minutes of pedaling under turbo power. And then after that first test up this mountain, I've done nothing but throttle since then to see how long it takes to kill the battery. And we're at 20 miles, 30%. I don't think we make it to 30 miles under these conditions, especially since I'm just using the throttle. And I've done almost 2,000 feet of elevation gain with the first bit of biking being like 200. So I've definitely done well over a mile of elevation gain with just the throttle, and that's pretty solid for what this bike is putting out and handling. I'm not sure we will make it back up the mountain on the next round though, because it really struggled at the 40% mark to get up my final hill. So I'm kind of curious to see what it pulls off on this round, but I have a feeling this will be one of, if not the last round. If this isn't the last round, this is the second to last round. Oh boy. We are struggling to even hit 20 miles an hour now. Well, we got a little hill, so yeah, this is probably going to be the last time I can make it up the mountain on pure throttle, which is interesting just for my own experience and kind of like pushing this bike to the limit. The first time I came up this hill on just full throttle, I crushed 20 miles per hour, no problem. So we're now at 11 miles per hour and we're at 30% battery. So the main takeaway from that is just as the battery percentage drops, it's not just that you have less range, it's that you actually physically have less power. And that's interesting to me because I don't know if the bike's just trying to conserve energy or if it simply doesn't. I don't even know if we're going to make it up the mountain. Oh my goodness, are we going to come to a stop right now? Is this it? We're at 6 miles an hour and the bike 5 miles an hour. So I don't know if we're going to make it back up this mountain at this current battery percentage. Holy crud. That's interesting. Stay with me. I'm going to make this video as long as it needs to be to see if we actually make it back up because this is fascinating. I've done almost 2,000 feet of elevation gain on this bike ride to get me to this 30% mark and the 23.6 miles. And we are currently doing 6 miles an hour up a hill that I have done 4 times at least 18 to 20 miles an hour. So dropping below that 40% mark drastically changed the power output of the battery, which is very interesting. How much am I putting out right now? Let's see. I'm putting out 500 watts, which every other time I've gone up this hill, it was at like 1,100. So we have significantly reduced the watts of the motor. Oh, now we're putting out 526, 521. We've got 11 amps. We're definitely not doing much. Now we're down to 400. Yeah, so I think we've really cut the watts on this because every other time I was maxing out at 1,100. Very interesting. Stick with me and we'll see what we can do. The biggest hill is yet to come. I don't think we're gonna make it up. Oh, we just dropped to 20%. So 2,000 feet of elevation gain, 24 miles of biking, 22 miles of that has just been throttle only. And I did we'll call it 250 feet of elevation gain with the turbo boost turned on, and it was just pedaling. So that was the first round of this test, and I haven't stopped the clock or the bike or anything, so I am very curious to see. I don't think we're gonna make it up this hill, and this will probably be the last run. We're at 20%. Let's see what the watts go to. Let's see. Oh, this has got to be the death of me. We're gonna roll into this with every bit of speed that we have and see if the bike can make it up. I don't think it can. Oh my goodness. 11, 10. This hill, even on the first rounds, almost killed it. I don't think we're gonna make it. 20%, 4 miles per hour. We're not gonna make it. 3, 2, 3 miles per hour. 3 miles per hour, 2, 1. Yep, we couldn't do it. Oh shoot. I need to switch gears. Oh my goodness, guys. Wow, I've got the throttle on. Okay. Wow, okay. So one thing that I will say is that in gear 1 up this hill, it's not undoable. And I like that about Lectric, that they give us that. I'm in turbo mode, but it ain't doing squiddly squat. Like, we got nothing. Okay. Let's see what the bike will give us now. On a flat hill at 20%, we basically have no power coming through. We're at 11 miles per hour. So that is not a great sign. We will definitely not be coming back up this. So that's 2,000 feet of elevation gain. And let's see, we're at what? How many miles? What's my miles? 24.5 miles. And we now have to roll back down this hill. Man, that's crazy. I did not expect it to go so fast. So I was at 80% at the 10-mile mark. That's when I dropped from 90 to 80. And then in the next 10 miles, I went from, well, no, not 10. In the next 14 miles, from 10 miles to 24 miles, I have dropped 60%. That's crazy to me. When you think of, like, the first 10 miles was 100 to 90. Now I was pedaling for the first 2.5 miles. I'm sure that helped, but I mean, it's basically all uphill. So I feel like the bike should have been working to the max in turbo mode. I guess I'm not going to stop this video right now. We're just going to keep rolling with it. So I am surprised that the battery calculation is so far off in the percents. Like, I feel like the percentage spacing should be a little more even, because I've dropped 80% battery, 24. You would think that would be what, every 3 miles? Every 3 miles I should have dropped a percent, but instead I did the first 10 miles and stayed at 90, and then everything crashed. So it is nice to know the range on this. Oh wow, I just dropped to 10%. So we're basically dead. Yeah, and we're going downhill right now. I'm not even like, oh, we do get a little bit of push out of it. Let's see what the battery is giving me. The battery is giving me 300 watts right now. Nope, never mind. 55 watts right now. Is that really all it's gonna give me? Wow. Well, we've done 25 miles. That's pretty good. And at least we're on our way down the hill. So that's nice. I've got the throttle on, whatever it's doing. With the exception of like 2 of the hills that I slow down at the very end, I run the throttle even on the downhill, just to let it do whatever it's gonna do. But I don't think it's doing anything. Oh yeah, we are not. Yep, 10% battery, ain't no way. Ain't no way we make it back up this hill. We're at 12. Even if I'm pedaling, does that even make a difference? Nope, not really. Great, so we are gonna have to pedal this thing home. And that's where, you know, it still actually performs pretty nicely as a bike. It's certainly not gonna be as light as a normal bike, but yeah, we're doing just fine, man. So, all right, so I did a little bit of pedaling there at that 10% mark. We've got to be almost at 0 though. Whew, I love doing tests like this just to let everybody know how it goes. I just think it's fascinating. So I'll put out a bunch of shorts that are about this whole little test. You'll see those on the channel, and then some of the other stuff. Oh wow, we didn't even, nope, not gonna make it. Once again, okay. And I am in turbo mode, so only with pedaling. All right, we're back to throttle. Yep. Thankfully, I've only got one more hill until I'm home. The battery is now only giving me 280 watts, 270 watts, for those of you that are wondering. All right, wow. And we've done an hour and 23 minutes of biking. I bet we'll basically finish right around that 90-minute mark. So pretty impressive to have done over 2,000 feet of elevation, engaging the battery basically the entire time. And now we're dying. We're at 10%, but we are rolling down a hill, so that's nice. And the battery should help pick us up a little bit. We're going to go back up this hill, and this I think is the last hill that I have to make it up. There might be a little tiny one after this. Yeah, I think there's a little tiny one. Wow, we are still at 10% though. That's pretty good. Yeah, there is one more hill, and it's not super tiny, but it's small compared to what I've been doing. I'm really curious to know what happens after 10%. Are we going to drop straight to 0? Are we going to go to 5? Like, do they incrementalize that at all? Some bikes do. I bet this won't. All right, 16 miles an hour, 200 watts of power being output. Can we scroll up this hill? Can we just... Oh, I don't think we're going to make it. I don't think we're going to make it. Shoot, 6 miles an hour, 5 miles an hour. The battery wants to give us more. It really does. It's like, come on, I can give you just a little bit more. But then it dies. All right, and that was the last hill. So that means that we should be able to just coast on battery power until the end. We are doing 200 watts, 10 miles an hour. And the end of this ride is very different than the beginning because, man, this thing rips between like really up until 40%. I would say up until 40%, I was having the same riding experience. Maybe a little bit diminished at the 50. Maybe instead of like hitting 20 miles an hour up the hill, I was doing more like 18, 19. But you didn't really notice. After 40%, when we saw 40 hit, that's when everything changed. So 40% was a big breaking point for whatever power the battery can put out. Man, it's just completely dead. Even on this flat little bit, we are hardly moving. So the nice thing is I have the fast charger. Hey, the 5 amp fast charger. So we should be able to just have this thing ready to go in just a couple hours, which would be super cool. All right, it's definitely still like giving me some momentum, but not much, not much. We are not going to go all the way back up the big hill. We are just going to go, yeah, we're just going to go down this way a little bit, kind of see where everything ends up. So if you want to stick around, stick around. I love being outside and doing all these explorations. I'm currently in North Carolina. This is not Florida. For those of you that are wondering, like, where'd the hills come from? That's because I'm not in North Carolina. I mean, I'm not in Florida. I'm in North Carolina. And we drove 9 hours, got up at 3 a.m., ran 5 miles, and then hopped in the car and got the whole family up here in a little over, more like 8.5, 9 hours. Yeah, basically 9 hours. Oh, we got to pedal again. Okay. Man, I'm still at 10%, which is surprising. I really thought that was going to be the end of the battery, but I guess we had a little bit left in it. Let's see. I told my wife 5 minutes. We've been going for 87. I think we really are going to hit like that 90-minute mark before the battery's completely gone. And then I'm just going to have to pedal back. I'm going to have to pedal all the way back to the house, which is okay. Oh, car coming up behind me. The mirror does great things. Got to let them know that we're good to go. Oh, man. Okay. I think I needed that mirror just a little bit more out to see that car. We are still at 10%. We are doing 7 miles per hour on the throttle, 8. And we're going to turn around. This is basically a downhill segment, if you will, sort of. Wow, I can't believe we're still going. I'm actually surprised. And if you're still here with me, thanks for sticking around. You know, part of figuring these things out is just being willing to take the time to push it. and see what it can do. This is the Unit 1 helmet. I absolutely love this one. It's their Aura MIPS helmet. It's got lights built into the front and the back. And if you get their a handlebar accessory, it actually has turning signals show up on the back as well. So, man, I actually can't believe we haven't hit 0 yet. I genuinely thought the bike would die by now with the way that everything else had gone. So we have for sure cleared, what are we at, 26 miles. So we've done a marathon today on the bike. That's kind of cool. We've done a marathon. Wow. Oh, there's our 0. All right. So we are officially dead. So 26.3 miles, a marathon, 2,162 feet of elevation gain, and the bike is dead.